Fantasy Voyage. I am your guy, Byron, along with the great and philosophical, prophetic know-it-all, or Mr. Know-it-all, Jay. And we are your role players. We are doing another fantasy week. We've had another great week, fantasy-wise. I actually didn't win in one of the leagues that Jay and I are in. I took my first loss, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. But I did beat Jay in another league that we're in, one of the role player leagues. So if you're listening to this, you know we have the two role player leagues, and then Jay and I are in another fantasy football league that is on Sleeper. Don't sleep on Sleeper, guys. Do not sleep on Sleeper. If you're looking for a place to still get together for your friends or your coworkers or whoever, you might want to use the Sleeper app. You can do customizable leagues. It's free. You can even have avatars that battle each other. I'm telling you, it is something out of the ordinary. It is an experience you don't want to miss that at all. Can't miss that Sleeper app, man. But Jay, how has fantasy been going for you, man?
Oh man, I'm enjoying this fantasy, man. I'm knocking it out the box. I'm actually getting all the points I want, I need. I think I'm gonna tinker a little bit with my lineup this week and do some things a little different, a little unorthodox, just based on some of the information I've been seeing out there on the fantasy wire, looking at guys who may not play, who may play. So I'm ready, man. I am ready. I got my network, and I'm gonna send you a picture of the network when I get off.
You got your network. All right, man. I mean, if you have your network, then so do I. It's just, unfortunately, I was hit by all of those injuries, man. I was hit by a few of the season-ending injuries. I know Saquon is out. I know that Cortland Sutton is out. I got bit by the bug, man. And let me tell you, the bug bites hard. Okay? It's just,
Oh yeah,
it's too much. Too much, man. Yeah, I know you're enjoying this. I know you're still floating above water in the undefeated pool in our big fantasy league. So kudos to you, man.
yeah. I don't expect to see Mercury Morris for some time.
Mercury, we know you're out there listening. And look, you can't own all of the undefeated records, man. You just can't do it. So, Mercury, wherever you are listening to this podcast, hey, man, settle down. Settle down, cowboy. Or should I say dolphin? But, man, let's get right into this thing, man. If you have been bitten by the bug from all of those injuries, have no fear. The role players are here and near, my dears. But guys, man, here we are. So let's do some rundowns of some games that we have on the slate that has some big fantasy implications. First up, we're going to take a look at that Cincinnati and Philadelphia game. Joe Burrow actually had a great showcase last Thursday. I forgot who they played, but he had a good showcase. Who they play, Jay?
They played Cleveland.
They did. They played the Baker man. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Joe Burrow, even though he may not be your favorite, you might want to go ahead if he's still floating out there in your fantasy league somehow, or hey, 'tis the season to be trading. You might want to make a play for Joe Burrow. I think he has a lot of upside, especially going down the stretch during the season. He may even have some upside in this game because that Philadelphia Eagle team is topsy-turvy, upside down, pineapple special cake. You just want to take a bite out of that thing. So I would say, actually, you might want to play Joe Burrow in this game. Now, The funny thing is, I wouldn't play any of the receivers for the Bengals. I just wouldn't. He's spreading the ball around a lot. I think Joe Burrow can get you 20 to 25 points, maybe, you know. But like I say, you might want to play him, might want to sit him. That's just a hunch. That's a gut feeling. But, man, if I had to pick up a guy on this team, it would be the sleeper in the tight end sample. He actually had a good showing last Thursday, especially after the number one tight end went down with the season-ending injury. I'm going to go ahead and say you want to make a move on Sample. Drew Sample had a lot of targets. I believe he had 8 or more targets that game. So you may want to go ahead and pick up Drew Sample, man. The running back for Cincinnati, Mixon. Again, that Eagles team, I can't read it, but I think he'll be a safe play. He may not get you a lot of big bang for your buck, but you might want to go ahead and look at it. What you thinking, Jay?
I'm thinking as far as on the Cincinnati front, I pretty much agree with everything you're saying. I kind of love Burrow. He's spreading the ball around. Sample is definitely a sample size at tight end. He can give you some flex numbers. He also can be a starter in most leagues. On the Philadelphia Eagle front, though, the Bengals gave up, wasn't it 100 yards? They gave up 100 yards to both Hunt and Chubb. So Sanders probably going to have a big day on Sunday. I mean, these guys are giving up yardage. They gave up 100 yards to two different running backs in week 1 to Kelly and Eckler. So I'm looking at Sanders being a play. Anything else from the Philadelphia Eagles, I probably would leave sitting. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not quite sure because Philly haven't decided who they want to throw the ball to as far as tight ends go. But you should be a safe play with either Ertz or Goddard. Yeah, Goddard will probably give you about anywhere between 10 and 15. Ertz, I'm about to say Eckler. Ertz will probably give you about 15 to 20 points. And Sanders, I'm looking for Sanders to have a huge day in fantasy-wise. He had 21 last week. I'm thinking maybe 25 to 30 points on these guys.
Wow. That's big numbers, big guy. Well, I'll second that. I don't really know which way to go with these Philadelphia Eagle receivers. Maybe Alshon Jeffries, if he's still floating out there in your league, you might want to stash him away. That might not be a bad move to do. But other than that, they haven't really had anyone step up, and you can't overlook Carson Wentz. The guy he's regressing. So if you do have Carson Wentz, do not play him. And if you have any of these Eagle receivers, do not play them. Rager is actually injured, so I believe he's officially been ruled out. You don't want to play these guys, and you probably want to play a lot of tight end ball with this matchup or these two teams. So moving right along to the Carolina Panthers versus the LA Superchargers. What you think, Jake? What you got working up in the fantasy voyage for us?
Well, the big fantasy news in this ball game is no Christian McCaffrey for the Carolina Panthers. So anybody who's owning Christian McCaffrey, he's not going to be suiting up this week. I think they put him on injured reserve, and so he has to miss four games. He has to miss 4 games. So the big key is Carolina Panthers have been giving up 100 yards as well. They just gave up 100 yards to Leonard Fournette, who the first game only ran for 5 yards. So you got to know that Eckler and Kelly's going to have a big game. I'm thinking Kelly going to get you maybe 10 points. Eckler, I'm shooting high this week, man. And it's ironic. Both of these guys are on my fantasy team. Sanders is, and Eckler's on one of my team as well. I'm shooting for Eckler to go for about 25, 30 points. He gets it in the air. He gets it on the ground. Justin Herbert is a safe play in this one. He's going to be starting with the Tyrod Taylor mystery injury, trainer injury type deal. This guy is actually Herbert actually is going to explode this week as well because Carolina have been giving up huge numbers. Wide receivers, I don't know. I don't know who had the big numbers for the Chargers. He kind of spreaded the ball around last week. So I guess Keenan Allen, he'll probably get you about 12 to 14 points in that range. Herbert's going to have a huge day though. He's looking at me. I'm thinking about 25 points. On Carolina side, I don't know. I'll let you take Carolina, man.
Well, Carolina's a bit of a mystery. Defensively, you don't want this defense at all. I know we don't touch a lot on defenses and kickers, but you don't want that defense because, like Jay said, it's one of the worst. It's absolutely one of the worst, man. You don't want that at all. So I'm going to go ahead and say pick up Mike Davis. I think that he could be a low-end running back, maybe a nice flex option. He's going to pick up that slack for Christian McCaffrey, and they really have nowhere else to turn running the ball. Mike Davis can get 15 to 20 points against this Chargers defense. Now, the Chargers defense is kind of iffy because sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't. But I do believe Davis can pick up some numbers. He's a little bit of a different back from Christian McCaffrey, so he may get a lot of those tough yards. And if they get into the red zone, especially on the goal line, he might sneak away with 2 touchdowns. But I want to say the real premier for the Panthers, I would say, is Robbie Anderson. The dude has been consistent like he was for the Jets. He's a solid 10-plus points, guys. I don't know if you are playing with different type of point systems in your league, but if you're playing in a standard PPR, man, you might want to go ahead and pick up Robbie Anderson, or you may want to even make a trade for him. I have Robbie Anderson, whoop, whoop, but he's on my bench. He is a safe play, though. He may actually come into the lineup for me this week because you don't want to turn down 10 to 15 points. Not so much sold on Teddy Bridgewater, but you'll get something out of him if you have to play him. Teddy is definitely a QB2. Just use Teddy for a bye week, man. If you're playing Teddy, go ahead and pick up one of these rookies that's out there, like Dustin Herbert. You got to make a play for him. Got to. I just made a play for Justin Herbert, and I got him. It's pending right now, so you might want to make a play for him.
Herbie Herbert. So you made a play for Justin Herbert.
Oh yeah.
So no tight ends for Carolina.
I wouldn't go too far into the tight ends or the other receiver options for Carolina. I believe they'll see targets. I don't know how much they'll come down with. DJ Moore, he's been a bit of a disappointment so far this season. If you have him, you may want to make him a flex option. Tight end wise, I don't know if you want to play any of these tight ends. They really haven't shown up enough to say, hey, I'm going to play them as my tight end one. I don't even know if I will stash them away. But like I say, Teddy Bridgewater, he's going to spread the ball around and find a safe option. You may even find some receptions for Davis. That's big with the NFL right now. So I think you can leave out of that game with some safe plays in Robbie Anderson and Davis. And like Jay said for the Chargers, look to that backfield, man, because this Panthers defense is abysmal. It has allowed all of the traffic to flow freely, too. It's just flowing freely. So you might just want to go ahead and play some of those back. But getting back on track to our key matchups of the week, now it's getting into the heavy hitters. Kansas City versus Baltimore. The Chiefs versus the Ravens. This is what we sign up for on Monday Night Football. So let's just go around the room. We already know that Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andrews. They're probably safe plays, considering what's at the positions and what's out there on the waiver wires and the rankings and all that good stuff. You're going to get numbers from those guys because you can expect a lot of points in this game, more than likely, for if not one team, both teams. Now let's get into those receivers and the backs. This is not a game for a young man like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He doesn't match up well in it. The Ravens have one of the top defenses, if not the top defense in the NFL. They're definitely going to look to stuff the run and make Mahomes throw the ball. Not quite sure how much Tyreek Hill would do, but you know Tyreek Hill is a safe play. I wouldn't sit Hill down unless I had 3 other wide receivers that can go into the game, unquestionably giving me 10, 12, 15 points. Because Tyreek Hill, he's good to turn on the Jets, get you 40 yards, touchdown. That's going to put you right there, well over 10. On the Ravens side of things, Jay, I'm going to let you take a snap at it.
Well, I got both tight ends for the Ravens. Both tight ends for the Ravens are going to have a significant day. That's Andrews, and the other tight end name is it slipped my mind right fast, man. What is this guy's name? Anyway, both tight ends are going to have big days because Kansas City does not. They give up huge numbers to tight ends. They gave up 10 points to Fales and Atkins apiece from the Houston Texans. They gave up huge numbers to the tight ends. That was a tongue twister. They gave up huge numbers to the tight ends. They both had 10 points apiece plus on the opening weekend. And you also, I know, I'm going to go with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown been having some decent numbers this season. He's probably, that's to me, I'm feeling a high scoring game as well. So I'm going 15 to 20 points for Hollywood Brown. Other than that, like you said, we know about Lamar Jackson. I would stay the running game. Baltimore really is not set on a running game right now. So I mean, I don't feel safe playing Ingram or Dobbins, or for that matter, Gus Edwards. Although Kansas City is going to give up yards in the running game. Johnson had 100 yards on these guys in the opening weekend, and we know Eckler and Kelly had a field day with these guys last week. But right now, Baltimore's been kind of running Ingram, running Dobbins. They've been flip-flopping. They really haven't got a consistent method going on. So I would stay away from the running backs from Baltimore. Unless you just feel like you're a gambling man.
Yeah, I think that's a huge gamble unless you somehow landed Lamar Jackson, Dobbins, and Ingram. If you have Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, and Dobbins somehow, then that is the only way I would run those running backs. It's kind of like a triple handcuff. But if you did that madness, if you went insane enough to say, hey, I'm going all Ravens in the backfield, then knock yourself out and run those guys. Other than that, I kind of have to agree with Jay. I have Mark Ingram myself. It's really a crapshoot, man. Will he get in the end zone this week or will he not? He actually saw the end zone last week, saw good numbers, but the week before that, not so much. But they are running not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 guys because they are running Gus. I don't know. It's just too much of a gamble, like you said. But what's not a gamble and what you can always expect from the role players is the Juggernaut. It's time for the big matchup with the big points presented to you by me, Role Player B, this week. And I think that one of the big matchups with a lot of points that's going to be shooting off in the fantasy league or the fantasy football play this week going to be the Green Bay Packers versus the New Orleans Saints. This is a big one, Jay. Aaron Rodgers has been tearing it up, down, and all around. This guy, along with Aaron Jones in that backfield, they are making waves Devontae Adams, he's still iffy this week. So you might want to consider that. If you don't go Devontae Adams, you might want to go and pick up Lazard. He's been picking up a lot of those end zone targets. He may be good for a touchdown or two because that Saints team, I don't know, it's kind of night and day. They started out hot against the Raiders, and then they started giving up points. They actually gave up, I believe, 17 or 20 unanswered at one point. You can team, and this is prime time for Aaron Rodgers. He may be the hot gun this week again at the quarterback position, along with those running backs. And who knows, man? You might want to, if you're playing in a deep league, you might even want to go and grab Mercedes Lewis. Because, again, if Devontae Adams isn't out there, Mercedes Lewis, Lazard, these guys may be good for a touchdown and a few yards. It's not bad for a tight end. Lazard is definitely in deeper leagues, but you might want to look to him. And then on the Saints side of the ball, I'm going to just give you one name, and then I'm going to let Jay take over. Man, Traquan Smith, he didn't have a monster game, but he had a solid game. You turn in some touchdowns with the guy, you may can get 15 points out of this guy easily. Maybe more. Jay, what you seeing in this game?
Okay, I'm seeing in this game, I'm seeing the Saints are loving Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. It looked like they have decided to split the workload between these guys because both of them are kind of getting – Kamara's getting a little bit more in the passing game, but they're kind of almost getting Murray is kind of – he's about 5 more touches a game. Kamara's about 5 more touches a game than Murray. But maybe you use Murray in a flex spot. Kamara get you probably 15, 20 points. Murray probably 10 to 15 points. But the guy I think that's jumping out that's under the radar is Ty Montgomery. Ty Montgomery, they was going to him late in those games. And it looked like Drew Brees has kind of lost faith in Emmanuel Sanders. So I would probably stay away from Emmanuel Sanders. If you have him in leagues, it probably might be a good idea to drop Emmanuel Sanders at this time. He's not been catching balls. He's been a little MIA. But right now you have Ty Montgomery. He's trending. I can't tell you how many numbers he's going to get because here again, he was targeted a lot late in that game. So I'm assuming if Michael Thomas is going to be out, he will be targeting Ty Montgomery some in this game. And of course, Jared Cook. Jared Cook is a good flex with your tight ends. Jared Cook probably will go for 20 points in this game. 20 points in this game against Green Bay because this too will be a high scoring game as well. And of course, you got to play Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees in these matchups.
It's funny that you went into this saying you got to play, or you ended it up saying you got to play Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, because I actually would not play Drew Brees in this game. I think he can line up and get you some touchdowns, but he may have a turnover or two. This Green Bay front seven, it actually creates pretty solid pressure. I don't know if I would start Drew Brees, but that's only if you have 2 top shelf quarterbacks. If you're dealing with the Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees on your team just based on how your draft went, then of course play Aaron Rodgers. But if you have someone like Cam Newton or Drew Brees, I don't know, you might want to take that thing down to the wire and say, who am I playing today? I don't think you can go wrong either way, but Drew Brees is not as high of a priority on my quarterback list this week as Aaron Rodgers. That's a given. Aaron Rodgers is a given. I think he's discount double checking again. Maybe even triple checking. Maybe quadruple checking.
Well, I trust Drew Brees in these matchups, man. He's a professional. I trust him, man. In this matchup right here, he may be he has been turnover prone early in this season. He's not been hitting his targets, but in this matchup right here, I trust Drew Brees just like I trust Aaron Rodgers to put up huge fantasy numbers. I'm talking about huge. I don't have neither one of these guys though. Not in none of my fantasy league.
Oh, well, you're not on the Voyage, Jay. But you know what? Never fret, never fear. because I have some names here that might just help you get through all of these injuries. So it's time for some stardoms, some setums, some sleepers, some creepers. We're ready to name these names. So let's start out with the position that's the most important on your football field, but not necessarily the most important in fantasy. But here we go with quarterbacks. All right, I'm going to just go ahead and start it off with my Jaguars on Thursday night. Man, if you don't have Minshew magic, you might be messing up. This guy, he may still be floating around your fantasy league. If he is, that's totally bizarre because he's owned in a lot of leagues. He's at least owned. But you might want to start him. This Dolphins team is suffering in the secondary. They're playing I believe, like the number 4 offense or number 4 efficiency-wise offense in the Jaguars. Minshew has been throwing the ball well. He may can come away with one of those monster surprise games. Okay? I say definitely. If you have Minshew and you're questioning who you're starting at quarterback, just go ahead and play Minshew. I don't think you'll go wrong, even though it's not the most appealing matchup. But he's not the only one in that game. We all know Fitzpatrick has his fair share of magic as well. This may be a good opportunity for Fitzpatrick. The Jaguars have given up some passing yards this year. And even though they're playing okay passing defense, they're still giving up the yards. Fitzpatrick may have one of his magical games. Now, he's a deep, deep, deep sleeper. I don't know if I would go ahead and start him. But if you don't have anything to lose this week and your quarterback position is very shaky, you might want to go and pick up Fitzpatrick or Minshew magic. Other than those guys, I have Tannehill, who might be a good play this week. He may can get you 20, 25 points. And then Cam. Last week I said I'm not so sure about Cam. This week I am so sure about Cam. I don't know if he'll produce the same type of game that he had against the Seahawks, but I still think Cam can give you the dual threat. Maybe not the dual threat of Lamar or Desean Watson, but I think he can give you that. So I would play Cam. He might can nab you 30 points this week. On my questionables, I told you about Drew Brees. I'm not so sold on Josh Allen either. If you have him, play him if that's all you have. But I might not be so sold on him. And then my big name that I would say absolutely do not play this week, Desean Watson. I think he was a bad draft pick this year. They don't have a line to walk a straight line on. It's just horrible. So you may want to sit Desean Watson yet again until he plays in a favorable matchup. Jay, what you got at the quarterback position?
Now, wait, you're not going to play Josh Allen, a guy who scored 55 points last week? Are you kidding me?
I got to sit him down, man. I'm not unless he's your guy. Now, if he's your guy, then keep him. But if he's not your guy, they're going up against the Rams, man. They have 2 all-pro defenders along with a spectacular rookie on the defensive end. I don't know if he's such a safe play this week.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to definitely play oh boy. You took one of mine with your Gardner Minshew pick. That was definitely a good one. I guess that's pretty much it. We covered the other ones in the other games, and I really don't have one. If you're playing like a paid league where you're playing a snake draft, or you're picking your paid leagues like the FanDuels and the DraftKings, one sleeper you can throw in there that'll save you a couple dollars on your cap will be Nick Mullins. He's probably going to start for San Fran. He'll probably end up with about he's projected right now with 19 points. He'll probably end up with about 25 because he's going to throw the ball around the field. But other than that, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, you covered them all.
I'm gonna let you do your thing because you were the defensive back, and I'm gonna let you cover something this time. I'm gonna let you take on the running back position, man.
Oh man, it's my position right here, man.
Oh
I
yeah.
have turned into running back guru. The first ever fantasy league I was in, it was when LT had his monumental season. So I take on the running backs in the fantasy league. So right now, the safe plays this week at running back that we have not covered yet. That will be San Francisco's down on running backs, man. First, San Francisco is on Jeff Wilson Jr. and they are on Jerick McKinnon will get the share of the workloads. Both of those guys are going to have a lot of numbers this week. Jerick McKinnon probably shooting anywhere between 15 and 20 points. He had 15 last week, but I'm looking for Jeff Wilson, who has averaged, anytime he has came in for San Fran, he's averaged 15 to 20 points. I'm looking for another 15 to 20 point from Jeff Wilson. He's going to get the workload. And it's Henderson and Brown from the Rams. It's funny you were talking about the Rams. Those guys have been splitting the loads. Henderson got a little bit more touches than Brown did last week. The first week, Brown got a little bit more touches than Henderson. I would play, you're pretty much safe playing either one of those guys. I mean, at this point, you're pretty much safe. You got to play Aaron Jones this week. Aaron Jones had a monster week last week. Last week, he got me 53 points, 53 big ones. Fitty Burger. He will go again for about 30 to 40 points, man. And if it's any running backs that you're looking to sit, I would sit Kenyon Drake. I would sit let me see. I would definitely sit Jacobs from Vegas. New England has been pretty much playing great defense, man. Unless you have to roll with Jacobs. I understand some of you guys don't have many options. You may have to roll with Jacobs, but don't look for a big day from Jacobs. So you need to set your roster accordingly. And I would sit James Conner. I would sit James Conner this week because he has not been. He had a big week last week, but he's been 1 week he doesn't do good, 1 week he plays. That's dating back to last season. Last week he had 110 yards. I wouldn't expect that much from James Conner this week, and that's pretty much it, man. On my
Wow.
front,
I'm playing James Conner and Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs at this point is a safe play. Even on a bad day, he should still get you over 10 to 15 points. And then Conner, I believe he can get out in the passing game and get some points in the passing game. He may not have a lot of yards running, but he may rack up a lot of total yards on the day. Other than those guys that you named, Jay, we covered Joshua Kelly. We talked about McKinnon. Hey, James Robinson. If you haven't caught the wave yet, you might want to pick up James Robinson again. The Jaguars are playing a terrible Miami Dolphins defense. This might be big numbers. He may give you 15 plus this week. So you might want to go ahead and pick up James Robinson if you have not done so. But Jay did a great job covering these guys. And then a little nugget. If you're going crazy for the Devonta Freeman, pick him up or stash him away. I seriously doubt it, guys. I doubt that he has a big part in the game plan this week. But it is running back. You never know. Because if Dion Lewis isn't the answer, they'll have to turn to someone. And I'm not putting my money on Gallman. I'm just not. But I will put my money on Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman had a great resurrection, did he not? I think Julian Edelman is worth putting back in your lineup. I think he is.
You're reaching with that one, brother.
You chortled. I don't understand.
Yeah, you're reaching with that one, brother.
Wide receiver is a little funny this year. I do have some buyer bewares and some sleepers or whatever. I told you about Anderson, Robbie Anderson. But now I'm going to throw out two names, Keelan Cole. DJ Chark has been on the injury report. Not quite sure if he'll suit up. Not quite sure how much of or how close to 100% he would be. But Keelan Cole would be the next guy in that passing game for the Jaguars to step up. He can get you over 10 points this week. And Julio Jones, I don't know if he's the guy. Actually, I think he popped up on the injury report as well when I was right before I was getting ready for the show. So if Julio is on the injury report and everything's been going through Ridley, if you can afford to bench Julio Jones, this is the time to do it. Or this is the time to sell Julio Jones. I'd get rid of him. I really would. I put him in the same boat as kind of like the T.Y. Hiltons. Not saying they're bad options and the Odell Beckhams. I'm just saying they don't have an offense that's catering to them. So you may want to sit Julio if you can afford it, because he might have a super down day. He may even pop up and out, if you catch my drift. I'll say sit any Texans wide receiver. It just has not been happening. Same with any Vikings receiver. It has not been happening. Just sit them down. Thielen, it doesn't matter. Sit these guys down. I'm not buying into it. I sit down, Russ, man. I don't see Derek Carr selling the ball out there with accuracy to land it in the hands of Ruggs. He keeps missing the guy. He's a big play guy. I don't see the marriage happening there. Same with T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. has dropped some passes. I do understand that. And I know he'll get an opportunity with Phillip Rivers, but I'm not quite sure how many opportunities he will get. If you could sell T.Y., you might want to sell him, trade him out of there, get him out of there. Same for A.J. Green. It's not happening. The light's just not turning on, guys, man. Jay, you got any wide receiver stardom, sit-em, sleepers, creepers out there?
I got three wide receivers you probably should start. One would be McLaurin for Washington. He had a big week. His numbers has been trending up the first two games. Then Michael Pittman Jr. looked like he's ready to take over the reins for Indianapolis. They had an injury to the receiving core. He stepped in and had more targets. And Bird from the New England Patriots. He was heavily targeted last week. Right now, he was a little friendly with Edelman, but he had a lot of chemistry with Bird last week. I would sit from New England. I would sit N'Keal Harry. It looks like N'Keal Harry, the light's not gonna turn on for N'Keal Harry at all. It just seemed like he's not catching on right now. This is year two. Brady struggled with him. Cam has not been able to find this guy. I would sit also Mike Williams from the LA Chargers. Mike Williams, ever since he's been there, he's always been a good fantasy, I would say, gusher. Will get you salivating. But for some reason, all he does is catch touchdowns. He really don't put up numbers. Until Herbert start hitting him on a regular basis, I would definitely not be too pressured on trying to pick up Mike Williams. He was kind of trending up in some of the leagues today because Herbert was announced the quarterback. I don't know. I think I would stay away from that guy. And I got one for you that I would sit. I'm tired of it. He's let me down 2 weeks in a row. That's Desean Jackson. I'm done with you, bro. Have you seen this guy YouTube? He has a song out. Have you seen it on YouTube?
A song?
Yes, he has a song. He lets me know he's not ready for football. He's into impersonating Aubrey Drake. And I think I'm done with Desean Jackson. I think his fantasy tenure is officially over.
Oh, wow. Then we can close the book on D-Jax. You've let us down, young man. You've let us down. Wow.
So, real quick, man, I had the big play of the week last week, bro.
You had the big play? What play is that?
When one of us drop knowledge, man, and one of our guys come out and have a huge week. I mean, tight end play, Jordan Reed went crazy, and Waller. I got two guys that had like probably 25, 30 points. Easy.
Oh, wow. Well, then, if you're that good with tight ends, I think you should just go ahead and be the tight end whisperer and tell the people what they're looking for at tight end this week.
I'm looking for Sample, Schultz. These are my big plays. I'm just dropping them, and I'll drop you with the numbers when I'm done. I'm expecting them all to get big plays in between 15 and 25 points. Jordan Reed. His kid will probably be out again. Again, Waller's going to go for a big play. But my sleeper is, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Jonnu from the Tennessee Titans.
Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu had a huge week last week. He's had a huge week the first week. He'll have another huge week this week, brother. That's all I'm saying. And I mean, Siddums, I think last week we said something about Greg Olsen. Sit that guy.
Yeah.
I would sit Jason Witten because it looks like they're turning over a new leaf. And Jimmy Graham has been trending up. Jimmy Graham had a great week last week. Man, the Chicago Bears, I don't even know. Other than Chicago Bears never have a target. Brown was trending up in the receiver department last week. And last week before the week started. And at the end of the week, he had 0 points. Man, I would never depend on the Chicago catching wide receiver target. And I would say sit Jimmy Graham. That's all I got for today.
That's all you have, Jay? You forgot a sitter.
Who?
You forgot the Baker man, Austin Hooper. It's time to stop. I'm no longer a believer. I've definitely seen enough Cleveland football to know that Baker Mayfield cannot target the middle of the field. So if you do have Hooper, maybe you could sell him. Maybe you could pawn him off on someone. But go ahead and get rid of that guy until Baker is no longer the quarterback. He's not gonna get numbers. And Baker is fool's gold. He has a terrible game. He plays an inferior opponent. Then he goes out and he shines. So I don't see them really benching Baker anytime soon, especially considering he was their top draft pick a few seasons ago. So I would sit Hooper. That's pretty much the fantasy roundup. As you know, if you've listened to this show, we don't dig into the defenses and the kickers, but that's not saying you can't get something out of us. That's not saying we're punting. We're not punting on you guys. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We don't mind giving you guys fantasy tidbits, fantasy tricks of the trade. We don't mind giving you all that information. And when you find us on social media, don't forget to tweet us and Facebook post us and IG post us and say, hey guys, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, which is home of the role players, and so many more platforms. So many more, man. You can find us out there. So make sure you tell a friend about the roller players. Jay, any final thoughts before we get out of this thing, man?
No final thoughts, man. I'm good, man. I'm 2-0. That's all I'm saying.
2-0. Well, before I get out of this thing, you guys wish me great luck and much success with my Jaguars on the Thursday night football game. It's going to be a till out. If you don't know what a till out is, just look to the gridiron on Thursday night and make sure you say Duval. Had to give a little bit of love, man, because I don't know how long this ride is gonna last. I don't know. You know, I heard something interesting on another podcast. They said the Jaguars are 1-0-1, and they was like they had a moral victory last week. I'd have to say so. So, yeah, man. Wish us a little luck. I wish you guys much success on your fantasy voyage. And we are about to sail away.